everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Monday morning, afternoon, or evening across the world where you may be at. And recently, I got told about this decision by the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and the article is from theguardian.com. And I also got told about this by my dear friend Ivan, who raised it as a concern and a priority for a video in Facebook. So I decided to do a video on it after doing some research first, not just jumping headgun straight into my own thoughts and feelings. I thought I'd read the article first and then give you my autistic perspective towards the end. I'm completely new and oblivious to this article, so we're going to read it together and go through it together. I hope everyone enjoys my perspective, and let me know what you think down in the comments section, guys. So let's get into it. Anger as Sunak scrapes dedicated minister for disabled people. Number 10 will pass the responsibility to an existing member of government, which charities say is a retrograde move. So we're going to scan down. The previous UK Minister for Disabled People was made Minister for Legal Migration this month. Rights campaigners have reacted with anger to the news that Downing Street will not appoint a new dedicated Minister of State for Disabled People, describing it as an appalling and retrograde move. The position had been vacant since Rishi Sunak's cabinet reshuffle last week, which the disability charity Scope said was the longest gap without a minister in the post for the past 30 years. Its Director of Strategy, James Taylor, who described the move as appalling and retrograde, added, "What kind of message does this give to Britain's 16 million disabled people? That in the middle of a cost of living crisis, we are now less important." The previous Minister for Disabled People, Tom Pursglove, was made Minister for Legal Migration this month. Mims Davis has been appointed Minister for Disabled People, but she remains a parliamentary Under-Secretary of State rather than becoming a Minister of State, which Labour described as a downgrade of the post. Vicky Foxcroft, the Labour MP and Shadow Minister for Disabled People, said it was outrageous it took the government so long to finally agree to appoint a Minister for Disabled People. She said when they finally do, they have demoted the role to Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State, and the role was previously Minister of State. Disabled people deserve better than this. Let's keep scanning down. A government spokesperson said Davis would build upon this government's track record of supporting disabled people, having delivered millions of cost of living payments and helping over 1 million more disabled people into work 5 years earlier than planned. The minister will help ensure that there is always a strong safety net for the most vulnerable in our society, while tearing down barriers so that every disabled person can realise their potential and thrive. A call had been made by the National Disability Charity Sense for a dedicated minister to be appointed as soon as possible to ensure the interests of disabled people were represented at a time of crisis. Sarah White, the head of policy at the charity, said, "Disabled people have been hit hard by cuts to social care and the cost of living crisis, and are battling rising prices that have pushed far too many into debt." A Number 10 spokesperson earlier denied that the role was being downgraded, given that the government now had two ministers responsible for migration. "It's not right. We will have a Minister for Disabled People who will lead on that important work," the Prime Minister's official spokesperson said. "What you will continue to see is a government showing strong support for disabled people and for disabled issues." Claire Coutinho, Esther McVey and Mark Harper are current cabinet ministers who have previously held the dedicated role, which has been in existence since the 1990s. Foxcroft and others also cited the absence of the publication of a disability action plan, which had been expected before the end of the year, and what she said was a hardline approach taken to compel people with disabilities into work without the proper support. There was strong criticism from charities last month when it emerged in the autumn statement that people with mobility and mental health problems would be asked to work from home or lose their benefits. Changes announced by the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, were part of a £2.5 billion back-to-work plan to get more long-term unemployed people and those with health conditions and disabilities to seek active employment. Hunt said it was a waste of potential that more than 100,000 people were signed off every year onto benefits with no requirement to look for work because of sickness or of disability. So basically, that's the end of the article here. My thoughts as an autistic person is that the government have completely lost touch with people. I think this now absolutely shows what condemning behaviours they're doing towards disabled people. I think this finally shows how the government are so not in touch with reality and do not understand the struggles of everyday disabled people like myself, who are constantly struggling with society's judgments, labels. I'm struggling to get into work because employers don't want to give you the time of day. And it's not okay for Jeremy Hunt to turn around and say, oh, if you refuse to go into work or if you don't work, we'll take your benefits off you. Or how about you make employer workplaces do autism training or disability training? Because I can tell you right now, I've done over in this year alone, over 200 applications. I've heard back from about 4 people and it's ridiculous. I can do the jobs that I apply for with my eyes closed. So you guys have no chance or no say what it's like for disabled people. And how dare you not give us a minister for disabled people when the post has been active since 1990? How dare you take that role away, saying that it's gonna be someone who does another underlying job. No, we need someone with disability experience, someone that knows people with disabilities, has constituents with disabilities. My hometown MP would be quite a good choice for it. I think he would be perfect for it. And the fact is, he understands the struggle with disabled people. He understands our struggles. He understands what it's like to be someone who's neurodivergent. The government have, oh my God, the government have no sense of reality or empathy or compassion or understanding what it's like for a disabled person to be in 2023. Going into 2024, I just see things getting a lot worse, if I'm honest. And I don't think this is the first time we're going to see it being backlashed and the disabled community being like, hey, what about our voices? What about our experiences? Don't we matter? Like, we are your constituents, for heaven's sakes. We're the ones who have voices. We're the ones who deserve to be heard. And for you to take away this role just shows you do not care at all about disabled people or what we go through or what we face every day. You have no experience of what it's like being disabled. So don't you even dare suggest that you're going to sanction benefits and you don't know the half of what it's like living as a disabled person. None of you do. None of you know what it's like to live as a disabled person. So don't you dare take away our lifeline, which is our benefits, and having someone to represent us in the House is what we should be having. It's called fair, equal opportunities. And for you, the government to then all of a sudden go, no, we'll just take away the Minister for Disabled People. What does that say to all the constituents that you have in Westminster? What does that say to all the disabled constituents you have across England who are struggling like hell right now through a pandemic, through a cost of living crisis, through their own emotional, mental health, their physical health, losing loved ones, losing family, losing friends, having to be isolated during Christmas? It's ridiculous. You have no idea how much damage this is going to do to disabled families over Christmas and the New Year period. To not have someone that they can contact, or at least have someone that represents their views or their point of view or their situation, it's just frankly absurd. This parliament needs to be completely restructured, restart from the beginning and ripped out and start again, because you guys have no idea of how much damage you're doing, how many disabled lives you are going to mess up during this Christmas and into the new year. How dare you take away the Minister for Disabled People? Do you realise how much stress we already go through on a day-to-day functioning basis? And now you've given us no one to talk to. It's like you want disabled people's voices to be ignored and shunned and silenced and critiqued. And it's like you don't care about what we have to say. When you get paid by us, you get paid by your constituents, you get paid by the taxpayer, which means that's us. And for you to not even acknowledge that is just completely absurd, completely ridiculous. And I think that the excuse of, oh, well, he's been promoted to another post, and replace him then. If the last disability minister's been upgraded to another post, replace him with somebody else. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science, you idiots. Like, seriously, like, We deserve to be heard. We want our voices to be heard. We are people who are your constituents. We are people who like politics. We are people who want our voices to be heard. Because if we don't raise our voices in this way, how are we meant to? Oh, we can't, because the government again are trying to silence disabled people. And we are the most powerful people that you'll ever meet. Like, a lot of us are passionate and we want other disabled people to be supported. Of course I do. It's not just about me. There's many people out there who can't do what I do because they're too frightened or too scared of being rejected, judged, labelled, critiqued, not listened to, not given the time of day because people like you think that you're too powerful or that there doesn't need to be a disabled minister. That's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely ridiculous. And for you guys just to do what you've done shows you have no care for the mental health of disabled constituents. You have no care for our empathy, our compassion. You have no care for what our physical problems are or our family. And it just shows that this government is totally out of touch with everyone with a disability. It needs to be restructured, restarted, re-ripped out, and the whole parliament needs to have people with disabilities in there. The more people with disabilities that we have in parliament, the more likely parliament is and will be continue to be functioning. But at the moment, parliament is non-functioning. It's something that is a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. And really, I'm really shocked at this article. I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. And it just shows politics don't care. They only care about their own pockets, their own self, their own family, their own backbenchers, their own committee members, their own investigation people. It's ridiculous. It's one rule for them and one rule for the rest of us. And it just shows how reality out of touch they are, and how the fact they want to silence people with disabilities, critique us, not give us a say, not include us in legislations, not include us in any decision making, policy making. It just makes me sick to my stomach that they can do this so close to Christmas. It just makes me absolutely outraged. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I will link the article down below in the video description, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.